And I am Leo Haggerty from TCHQ Communications, along with my partner in crime,
Sheri Donahue from Commonwealth Sentinel Cybersecurity.
And this is the 5th episode of the Sidewalk CEO podcast. Each week, we talk with local business people from in and around Frankfort, find out how they got to where they're at and where they're planning on going and what maybe some of the hiccups and bumps along the ways were, and they learn how to overcome. And maybe if you're interested in starting a business someday or you already have one, maybe you can learn from us and them. And we will get going today with Carrie Seay from Mantis Creative Wellness. Welcome.
Thank you. It's so nice to be with you both. I'm pretty excited.
Yeah.
Is this your first podcast?
It is. And I've always wanted to be on a podcast, so you were making my dream come true, literally.
I'm so this is the 5th episode. You are only the second person that this is their first podcast. Apparently it's a lot more common now than it used to be. So,
well, not me. This is my first.
Okay.
We'll be gentle. So
First and the best.
Yeah, that's right.
So before we start talking about Mantis Creative Wellness, why don't you tell us a little bit about you?
So my name's Carrie Seay, and I have kind of always been of service in some way. I started working, 14 in the service industry, restaurants, retail, management, all of that kind of thing. I was a personal assistant. But my
was
degree,
it somebody famous?
Well, no, but
Okay.
not famous, but nobody famous.
Okay.
My degree is in art, so I'm also an artist, and from the University of Louisville, way back in when did I get my degree? In the 90s, in photography.
According to our researcher, it was 1997. I've got a note
yeah,
here.
thank you. Okay.
It's in the last century. Wow.
So it's been a long time. Yes, and then. So I got my degree in art, and I'm naturally just an artist, and also love to be of service. So throughout my young years, I've always struggled with severe anxiety and depression I swear to God, from babyhood. And so I've looked for ways to manage that. I'm a highly sensitive person. Also, I pick up on everything, and come to find out, I'm also one of those undiagnosed ADD people. I'm a Gen Xer, so we were forced to just be out in the world, right?
Mm-hmm.
With all the things. So I know how to acclimate to most any situation, I would say. And then I moved to Frankfort. I'm from Louisville originally. I moved here 13-ish years ago. My husband at the time worked for the state, and so we moved here so that he didn't have the commute. And I homeschooled my daughter because she asked me to in middle school. And I was like, okay, sure, why not? Okay, we get a curriculum. And I met a group here in Frankfort that was amazing, and it was not religious-based. We just did incredible work with these kids, and it was multi-age, like age 4 up to 16-year-olds. So kind of like a one-room schoolhouse situation. And I taught actually a lot of the science part of that. A lot of the mothers actually had master's degrees. It was incredible. I learned a lot myself. And so I did that for a while, had my daughter at home, homeschooling her. And then I got into craniosacral therapy. My first coming into that was back when my daughter was born. So she's 25 now. So 25 years ago, she was born and had sensory integration issues. So she's on the autism spectrum. And so I had a friend of mine say, have you heard of craniosacral therapy? And I said, no, I have not. This was in Louisville. She said, you need to take your daughter. And so I did, because she would not stop crying. She was not eating. It was kind of a nightmare. They call it colic, but it's not really colic. It wasn't gastrointestinal. So
okay.
I took her to see a craniosacral therapist, and it started working. And her nervous system was able to regulate, and she was starting to eat and all of that. And then I started seeing a craniosacral therapist, and it helped my nervous system.
What did they do?
So it's hard to describe. It's a light touch body work. So it's in the vein of the best way for me to describe it. It's like inner massage. So we have it actually at the Light Clinic because I've worked in it. I've worked with the Light Clinic as a practitioner off and on for maybe 10 years now. And it goes very well with other things like acupuncture, massage, any kind of body work. And it's great for people that don't want to be pressed on so much. And this will sound very weird, guys, but I like to talk to your cells. So I have this ability to, if I tune in to your body, pick up on what, it's kind of like a red light flashing situation in your body. And if I were in a setting where you were on a table, I would be able to work with that. But so I have this ability to connect with people's bodies. Just always have. It sounds weird. I don't talk about it much.
No, it doesn't sound weird. It sounds
people
like
think I'm
good. It's a good thing that you can
hooey
do that.
or whatever the word is, right?
No.
But so I could connect with your body, work with your cells. It's all physics. I love physics, so it gets things moving that way. And then let's see. Should probably backtrack. So craniosacral therapy. I got into that, and it also math, science, and art kind of go together, right? In general, and so that really
And music.
Yeah, that really
Definitely.
that appealed to all of my nature, being a craniosacral therapist. And so, come to today, here I am, and it's like my midlife crisis is opening this very large place in downtown Frankfort. It's called Mantis Wellness. And you're probably going to want to ask me questions. I'll stop rambling, but that's a little bit about my background.
When did you decide to open up the Creative Wellness?
So that's a good question. I started initially, so I was in the Light Clinic for a while, and then I moved out of the Light Clinic, and I had my own place in the McClure building for a little while, and it was called Mantis Creative Wellness. And I started to mix art with craniosacral work. So I would have do guided meditation, because I also do lead guided meditations. And I would have people have their appointment, and then they would make something afterwards. So they would have a creative component after their appointment. And it was really wonderful because it helped them integrate what they were working on in their body, like trauma stuff, right? And so I started it there, and it was this tiny little thing, and I didn't know how to advertise. And so I shut it down because it was hard to make rent and all of that. And it wasn't exactly what it really needed or wanted to be. So I closed shop there and went through a divorce and all the things. My daughter went off to college, and I had a nervous breakdown, literally had a nervous breakdown. And it just kind of has hung around me. And so, God, when did I decide to? I've been trying to find a place to put this entity, I'll say, for years, like 3 years.
So you didn't have like a storefront?
No, I didn't have a storefront. Okay. And I thought it was going to go. I had a building. I was all set to move in to this building. And the sauna pods, so there was a woman that was going to put her business in this building, and she said, I can't do it. Do you want to take it over? And I said, well, sure. What were you going to do in here? And she said, I was going to be a wellness center. I was going to have massage, sauna pods. It was going to be a wellness kind of center. And I said, I love most of that, but I want to add art into the mix and have classes and workshops in here. But I will buy your sauna pods from you, infrared saunas. And she said, okay, great. And so I bought her infrared saunas from her, and she left, and then the building fell through for me. So I had these infrared sauna pods, nowhere to put them, didn't know where I was going to go. Moved into another place with the saunas, did not work out. Did not work, it fell through. Moved the sauna pods home. And I was like, okay, I'm going to sit here for a minute and just work as a craniosacral therapist and just see what happens. And there was a day I was with a friend of mine, actually, both of the women that own River City Provisions are friends of mine. And one of them was like, I was talking to Jen, and I was like, Jen, I don't know what she goes, oh, we've got a place that we need someone to go into, and it's right down the street from here. Do you want to see it? And I was like, oh, okay. Maybe they were wanting to put like a hairdresser in there and spray tan or something. And I go, maybe I have a friend that would want to rent this space. So she took me down there, and I go in, and it was huge and just kept going and going and going. And it was being gutted. It was in the process of being gutted. And I was like, oh my gosh, I think this might be where I need to go, where my place needs to go. And so that's how I finally found the place as I was walking through with Jen, thinking it would be for someone else. I'm like, oh, it'll be for a friend of mine. It won't be for me. That's how I found this place. And it's just one of those weird, and I didn't expect it to work because it kept falling through. It kept falling through. So I was like, well,
it kept falling
we'll
through
see.
Because the
Right.
time wasn't right, because this opportunity was waiting for you down the line.
Exactly.
That's awesome.
Exactly. So here we are, and moved in March.
So it's very new. The storefront's very new.
Very new. Yes.
Okay.
Okay, so you found the location.
Yes, I found the location and was all set to move in, but then it got waylaid, and I was like, oh, they thought I was going to be able to be in there, I think in the winter time maybe.
Okay.
And then that didn't happen. But I knew it was going to happen. It was just a matter of working with contractors and getting things worked out. And so finally, right around the flood, actually,
Oh,
I think
wow.
I was going to try to open the week of the flood. And I'm like, oh, this is not a good idea at all, except that it would help people relieve stress.
I was going to say, they
you
really
know?
needed it then, right?
So what I did was move in, but I decided to waylay my opening so that it was after the flood. But that is also how I'm going to remember when I opened. It was the week or two, after the flood, and I knew so many people affected by that flood that, energetically I was just trying to be with them. And anyway, so that's when I finally opened the doors, was the week or so after the flood in March.
So
Wow.
have you had to hire staff to run it?
I have hired staff. I've got 2 wonderful girls working for me now, young ladies, and they advise you when you open a business, you're gonna have to do it yourself. Until you can get income coming in, you're gonna have to. And I said, absolutely not. I'm not doing this myself. I've done this myself. All of this. I'm alone, and I don't have a business partner. I don't have a partner at home. I'm gonna hire help. I'm not gonna be alone. And if I need to take out several loans to do it, I'm going to do it. And I also like to support the young people here. My daughter's in her 20s, and I really love, especially girls and women, because I'm a single woman-owned business, and I want them to see a little bit about how this works. Mm-hmm. So I hired 2 people, and they don't work very many hours, sadly, because I can't yet afford. I'm going to say yet, because someday they're going to work up there for me full time in the front.
So folks, she needs to give her employees more hours. So that means you need to.
Come in. Yeah.
But you already had been doing this. So you had clientele already built up?
Sort of. So with this being such a different iteration, so I'm not technically working as a craniosacral therapist anymore. I do still do that off and on. Like my clients will contact me and say, hey, Carrie, can we have a session? And I'll end up going to the light clinic to see my clients, just because it's a nice separation. Mm-hmm. But so this is what I want to reach into the public in Frankfort that I haven't reached into before, because these I have infrared sonopods, as you'll know, in there. And I want to get an affordable, it's very affordable to get into these, like super affordable, and it does a lot for your body. And I really wanted to have an accessible way for people to get help, because my services aren't necessarily accessible if you don't have some money, So I wanted to reach into the demographic of people that maybe wouldn't come or don't want to be touched. Like if you have PTSD and don't want to be touched, no problem. You come in here, no one touches you, and your body releases a lot while you're in these saunas. So my clients, I'm actually having to build up a lot of them. Okay. I do have friends that are very supportive and have come in, but I'm having to build all of that up again, which is interesting. Yeah.
So let's talk business sense for a second. So how are you getting the word out?
Oh God, I'm so bad at it. Facebook really and Instagram. So I've not been on Facebook before. I was on Instagram always. And then I had someone say, Carrie, you've got to get on Facebook. Frankfort is a Facebook town. And so I did. And I'm not super great at it, but I'm putting posts on there and trying to develop a following there. And when you come in, I have an intake form that you fill out, and it says, how'd you hear about us? And 9 out of 10 times it's Facebook. Or someone has recommended, someone that's been coming says, hey, you need to do this, a referral. And so that's all I'm doing right now as far as marketing, and I probably need to do more, but that's all I'm doing.
Well, there's always more we can do on marketing, but I have to say, when we booked you for this, and then I was looking at your website and then I looked at your Facebook page, I saw your video about the solstice guided meditation.
Oh, yes.
And I said, well, we're going to have her next week. I want to try this. And so that's when I signed up, and I did it. And of course, you and I met on Zoom last week.
Yes, it was so wonderful.
I loved
Wasn't it?
I absolutely loved it. I was telling some friends about it over the weekend. I said it was amazing how good it felt afterwards, how relaxed. And it's hard to even describe. And the time just went by so fast, and I couldn't believe it was like 45 minutes, almost an hour. Yeah.
Technology has made a lot of this so much more accessible than it was even 5 or 10 years ago. I mean, some of the most popular apps on the Apple App Store are meditation apps.
Oh, that's true. The Calm.
It's now becoming much more popular, and it's funny because I started teaching or leading meditations about close to 20 years ago in Louisville. I had some teachers that asked me to take over their class back then. And I'm like, oh no, I don't know how good I'm going to be. I don't think so. But I took their class over, and it was group guided meditation. And I think guided meditation is wonderful because it gives your brain something healthy to do. Your brain is meant to work and talk and do all this monkey brain stuff, right? Well, if you say, hey, quiet your mind and sit there in silence, especially people that have ADD, ADHD, there's no way, and you just feel like a failure. So I thought, I'm going to give your brain something to do that's fun and healing and healthy, and mixed with my craniosacral work and what I know about the cells and the body. So you kind of get a little treatment when you do my guided meditations. And my favorite thing, guys, is to work with groups, honestly, to work with groups of people. Instead of one-on-one, because I like to reach more people and cost them less money, if that makes sense. So it won't cost you much, but you're still getting a really wonderful effect. And it's also good for me because I make more for less of my time, if that makes sense. Sure. That's the way I love to work.
Excuse me. It was also neat to hear the other ladies afterwards, when you have the conversation, and everybody was talking about what they experienced during that. And that was just as helpful, I thought, to hear what they had what they experienced through it.
It's my favorite thing in the world. And I do those meditations every third Sunday at the Light Clinic right now. And I
get the emails.
Yeah. Like they send out the emails, and all you do is show up, you bring your journals. It's 5:30 every third Sunday. I will also be starting a meditation group in my place, probably, where I've got, I don't know which day of the week and how I kind of want to have an arts part to that. But the guided meditations to me are so much fun, and to see how they affect people. And people come every single month and they start to really make progress with things in their lives. So, yeah.
Well, then I also saw that you do something about designing personal meditations and recording it. What does that
Yes.
entail exactly?
So say you were working with something in your life. Say you had a relationship struggle or something with work. You would email me or write me like, here's what's going on, Carrie. Here's what I'm working with. I would tune in to whatever your situation is. From afar, you don't have to be there. I would tune in because it's just part of who I am. I would tune into what you're working with, and I would do a guided meditation for you with pertaining, like specific to that, whatever you're working with, and I would send it to you. And then you would listen to it as many times as you needed and watch what happens. It's pretty fun. It's pretty fun to see what happens actually when you do these meditations. So that's another benefit thing that I offer through my website is personalized guided meditations. Maybe it's a health concern you have. Maybe you've got an organ that's not working right. And I'll do a meditation for that and send it to you, and you can listen to it repeatedly.
So like people with a chronic illness or maybe cancer or
anything, literally anything at all.
Okay.
Because it's all physics, that's, people are like, well, what? I'm like, it's just physics, which we won't get into all that rabbit hole, but that's what all healing is, physics. It's all in the world of physics. Mm-hmm. And it fascinates me.
So we have meditation.
Yep.
Art classes.
Yep.
Infrared sauna.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit more about what an infrared sauna is and how it works.
That's such a good question, Leo. So there's different types of infrared. There's near, mid, and far. The red light therapy you see is more the near. It's kind of more surface level. And then the far, which is the sauna pods that I have, they're made by Sunlighten, and they go deeper into your skin. So they like penetrate and go into your body more. And they really get your cells, they get things moving. So the key to health, if there's one word for health, is circulation. It gets your circulation going. It reduces inflammation. It helps with sleep, regulation in your sleep. It helps with stress and anxiety. And it also regulates hormones, males and females. So people use them for fertility treatments. And I started using them in Lexington. They didn't have the brand I got. I went to see them and was going to Lexington because I did have a panic disorder where I would have incredible panic attacks. So I was afraid the heat was going to trigger, because the heat triggers them in a lot of people, because it gets your heart going.
Oh, sure.
And but it didn't, because I was able to like put my arms out. So what's great about the pods is you're lying down on a table. You pull, it's a very simple, they're kind of like tubes, like accordion tubes, and you pull it up to your head. Your head is out the whole time so you can breathe. And if you want to pull your arms out, if you get too uncomfortable, you can do that. Also, I can adjust, or we can adjust, whoever's working, the temperature in the pod so that is what you most
So
want.
there is heat too. It's not just light.
Yeah. You know what it feels like? It feels like, the best way to describe it is it feels like you're on the beach. It's that, it almost feels exactly like being on the beach, because it's the part of the sun's rays that are infrared. There's 55% of the sun's rays are infrared, but not UV. You're not tanning.
I was going to say, so it's not like a tanning bed.
No, it's not like a tanning bed,
Okay.
But it's the wonderful part of the sun that you're feeling. And so you feel like you're on the beach. And it's so weird because you start warming up from the inside out, and you sweat. Sometimes you'll sweat your butt off, and sometimes you won't sweat at all. It just depends on, especially with women. I sometimes sweat and sometimes I don't. And I think it's a cycle thing, like depending on where I am in my cycle. But I always feel afterwards very centered and calm after I do a sauna.
And you said that you had one before you came here today.
Yeah, I did.
Are we that scary that you felt the need, or is it just normal?
No. I tried it. I'm doing an experiment, honestly, with myself to see if I want to try to go at least 4 times a week and see what I notice in myself. So like, what is changing in my body? What am I noticing that's starting to be different? And I want to get testimonials from people that come. I have people that come 3 times a week.
How long are you in there for?
A half an hour.
Half an hour.
Some people do 40 minutes. I have one lady who will do an hour in there. She put her testimonial on Facebook for me, and she comes for her nervous system. She said, I want to be in here an hour, and I want to be on a low temperature. And so that's what we do. It's also great for kids. I don't have the kids sessions listed yet, but 10 and up especially, for growing pains, stress and anxiety, sleep. Kiddos are having amazing sleep issues now because of their stress levels. And then muscle recovery, which is what you most hear infrared for, is muscle recovery. So I get a lot of people come in from gyms that already know infrared. So they already know about it. And I'm trying to kind of educate the general population, what is infrared and what can it do for you? And it can do amazing things.
And like you say in your web, this is not a panacea. This is part of a healthcare regimen with your healthcare provider.
Exactly. You'd have to. Oh, yeah. So there are contraindications. If you have serious heart conditions, for instance, you've got to ask your doctor. And then you can't be pregnant and get in because it does raise your internal body temperature, and you don't want to do that if you're pregnant.
What if you have a replacement, like a knee replacement, ankle replacement?
You can come in with those. You just don't want it to be super soon after your surgery.
Oh,
so
the part, like I have an ankle replacement.
Yeah,
so that part's
no,
not going to go in flames.
That's a great question. No, and
Okay.
even augmented breast, you can also come in with that. So it's pretty crazy, right?
That is.
Yeah.
he's picturing them on fire.
Boob jobs. Yeah, they won't explode, I swear. You gotta see, this is one of my favorite things is comedy. Comedy and beauty just are the two most important things, I think, in life in general.
Yeah.
I love your face, Leo. That was so, guys, you can't see him, but when I said that, his imagination went wild, I think.
I know.
Okay. Moving right along. I think I'm sweating now.
You're going to spontaneously combust.
That's funny.
But there's no infrared involved. That doesn't happen. You don't combust
Not
with
yet.
infrared.
Not yet.
No. So we've talked about meditation. We've talked about the infrared. So art. What is the art component of this?
So that's the part, okay, there's two components in my space. When you first come in, there's a art gallery. So right when you come into my space, the first thing you come into is an art gallery.
Is it all art that you've done?
No, not right now. So currently there's a show up by Ellie Haskin-Wagner, who runs the, I always call it the Frankfort City Museum, but it's the, what is it? The Capital City Museum. And
Right around the corner from
Yeah,
you.
she has the best sense of humor, and she's just hilarious and a wonderful human. And she's got her show up in there right now, and it's called Cats I Have Known.
I love
And
it.
it's so great. She's a mixed media artist. And what I'm going to do in there is every 3 months or so, the show will change out.
Oh, neat.
And so the next show that's going to go in won't be up until September, and that's going to be called Contained. And it's going to be different artists, not just one artist that will be in there. And I always like to have an interactive piece of art, so something you can interact with. So right now, Ellie's got these little, she made block prints of cats, and you can color them. She wants you to color them, and then she wants you to stick them up on the wall. So she has a strip of board that you are supposed to put your cat, a cat you have known in your life, up on the board. So there will always be an interactive piece, and some of her things are for sale. A lot of them aren't, but some of them are. And then I will at some point, I'll probably be in the show that we do next. I have some pieces that I probably will put in there. Right now I'm a small scale sculptor, is my focus, in clay, and then also painter in encaustics. So in the back of my space, so in the front you walk in and you're in an art gallery. I also have a little place for you to sit and hang out. Like if you want to have a cup of tea or coffee and just have a quiet place to sit and enjoy the art, you can do that, as long as you're not too loud. Because there's a hallway right behind the cash wrap that's where the sauna pods are. And I call it the Hall of Healing. So once you go down the Hall of Healing, and then all the way in the back of the building is a big teaching space. So for art classes and workshops, and not just for me to teach, but other teachers to come in. So I want to give other teachers a place to come teach. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to be teaching in all kinds of media, actually. Clay, probably some painting. And then I also want to bring in visiting artists from outside of Kentucky.
fun.
That's my big dream, is to bring in amazing, even outside of Kentucky artists that will bring people to Frankfort to take the workshop. And then they'll be coming for not just bourbon, but they'll be coming from out of town to stay in our Airbnbs and so on and so forth for these workshops that I want to have going on in the back.
Cool.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing. That's fantastic.
It's either amazing or crazy. I don't know.
Well, now,
There's no reason it can't be both.
Or both.
Most amazing things were crazy at one time.
There you go.
That's right.
There you go.
Yeah, it's all my favorite things in one place, and they're all, everything in my space is healing. So I call it secret healing because you don't have to think about it. If you look at something you enjoy, it does something in your brain, right? Like, or if you laugh at something, that's the art in there. There'll probably always be a piece that elicits some kind of chuckle from you, because it changes your mood. It changes the chemistry in your body. And then when you make art, you don't have to know you just are. You're healing yourself. Same with the sonopods. You can get in those things and watch a show if you want. Your body, well, you have to have your earbuds in. I do need to say that. You cannot be loud in there. But you don't have to think my body, is doing all this work. You just let it do its thing. And I love that. I want healing to be accessible and fun for people instead of all this drudgery and hard work.
It's such a positive environment.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah. I mean, it maybe isn't for everyone, but if you have a good sense of humor, you'll probably really appreciate everything that goes on in there.
So Mantis Creative Wellness. I get the creative part. I get the wellness part. It's time for you to explain Mantis.
I knew you were going to ask me about this. Okay, guys, listen. The Mantis part, I will never forget when it came in. I was with, at the time when I was married, I was with my husband then in a coffee shop. And we were talking about my business and what am I going to call it? What am I going to call it? And all of a sudden, it just came in. It just came in, Mantis. And I'm like, I didn't even like it, you all. I did not like it. I'm like, I don't like this. It's too, it sounds pretty masculine and kind of weird. And, people, mantises are strange. They're so fantastic. If you get in, I encourage everyone to look up symbolism of the mantis, because now it makes sense to me. At the time it did not, but they're these pretty spectacular little critters, and they're female dominated and all of those things. But that's how it came in. I didn't pick it picked me. And I'm like, weird. Oh God, I'm still resistant to it, if I'm honest. But my logo, if you see the logo on my door on my card, and it's a he. So the logo is a he, even though she's the one in the background running things. He is on my logo, and he's hilarious. He's got this funny look on his face, and he's kind of comical, which I think is important. And get this, the initials MCW are also my daughter's initials. And I did not know that when I decided on that for the name of my business. So her initials are also MCW. And I thought, okay, yeah, I can't make this shit up. But like that's it. And there's no crazy story. I'm still resistant to the name because it's kind of long and kind of weird sounding, but I'm just going with it. And I'm becoming more comfortable with it as I say it a million times. Right. So that's how I came up with that.
Well, now, so since you have your own storefront business now.
Yep.
So what have you done as far as IT networks, cybersecurity?
So I'm just, so what I do right now.
A lot of people respond that way to cybersecurity.
Well, it's my reaction is more to that world in general, the technology world, because I don't think that way. I'm not a linear. I struggle to kind of think linearly. I'm more of a round thinker. And so for me to be doing all this my own, I had to set up all my platforms. So Squarespace, Square, and Acuity are all three things that I use to try to integrate together. And y'all, it's been a nightmare. People think Squarespace and Square are the same. They are not. And getting them to integrate has not been fun for me. And then Acuity is separate, and that's the scheduling platform and how I make the classes, and they do the schedule part. I'm still trying to pick out threads of things that have gone wrong with that. And like, evidently I had 2 Square accounts, and one of them was holding my money because it wasn't attached to a bank account supposedly. And they just had all this money. And I'm like,
Wow.
what? So I'm still technology wise trying to figure things out. As far as security is concerned, I haven't had anything that I'm aware of. I'm very skeptical. Like even when you called me, Sheri, and you told me, I was like, okay, who is this? I'm going to look her up.
People react that way to her all the time. She's very sketchy.
Who is this even? But I'm lucky in that I haven't had, knock on all the wood in here. Facebook is where people get in quite a bit of trouble, I think, with stuff. And now that I'm in the Facebook world, that's a whole nother ball of wax. Like managing all this and the social media stuff.
I manage about 25 different Facebook accounts for different clients.
What? You do that for people?
If I answered every single one of the, you have violated a copyright, all I would do all day long is respond to those.
Oh yeah, I've been getting those.
And no matter how many times I post on Facebook that Facebook needs to do something about this, they don't seem to.
They don't care.
They don't care.
They don't care.
By the way, folks, if you have a Facebook page and you get a message from somebody saying they are from Facebook and you're violated a copyright or you need to confirm, Facebook does not communicate with you that way. They do not. So just
that's very
take
good
that
advice because I got 2 of those and I was like, what the hell? Because I was new on Facebook. And nope, I knew it. I was like, it's like
the first thing I tell clients now is, okay, you're going to see these come in, ignore them. I'll take care of it. Don't worry about it.
So you guys help people manage their businesses. This is really good to know.
Well, so Sheri does cybersecurity and I do marketing and promotions.
Oh my God. So we're all in good hands here. We can get all the businesses in Frankfort to find you guys.
There we go.
And you'll make everybody relaxed.
Oh,
I would think that you probably would have a lot of business during session.
I hope so. I also want to say this,
I don't know. When they're in session, I think everybody in the state of Kentucky needs anxiety.
Everyone needs anxiety relief. Well, and it's weird when it's hot. I haven't had people coming in, which makes sense. You don't want to get hot when it's 95 degrees out. Ironically, coming into the infrared saunas while it's this hot help you regulate. It helps you manage the heat. It's really incredible. I was telling you guys earlier.
Yeah.
I hate summer like more than I hate it. I hate summer. And I've been getting in the saunas and it's helping me not mind being out in the heat as much. So that's been an interesting, and sure enough, you look it up and it does help you regulate your heat.
That makes sense because this morning I got up and it was so cold in my house.
Yeah, because you had the AC on.
Yeah, and then I walk outside, take the dog out. I'm like, oh, it's so hot out here. And then as soon as I walk in, I'm like, oh, it's so cold.
Exactly.
I'm like, that cannot be good for your body.
It's not the best. And so, yeah.
It was so hot last night. So we have rice socks. Thick wool socks that are full of rice, and if we have a pain, we put them in the microwave. And when I got home yesterday, my neck and my back was hurting, so I put a rice sock on, and the dog needed to go out. And I went outside. My back and neck felt cold because it was so hot outside that the heat that I had put on was so much lower.
Isn't that interesting? It's really, that's so interesting. Well, the body always seeks regulation. It always seeks balance. So.
All right. So what do you know today that you wished you had known a year ago about getting a business off the ground?
How to set up Square and Squarespace.
No, seriously. I highly recommend, because I'm a little bit different in most people with my stuff don't start businesses by themselves. I'm neurodivergent. I'm, have severe depression and anxiety, and I'm just, so I'm trying to think. So what do I know? It's like when something just won't leave you alone. So this business kind of just, I'm a brat, and I've been like, oh God, I don't want to do this. But it on your inside, it's just something you have to do. People are like, oh, this is your passion. No, it's not really. I'm pretty introverted. I have a big personality, but I'm pretty introverted, and I would rather hole up and make art all day long. And I love to teach. But right now I'm up front. I'm not a 9-to-5 girl. And guess what I'm doing right now? I'm doing all of that. And so, but this thing, whatever this is, this Mantis creative wellness that wanted to come through me, I'm like, okay. If it just something keeps pestering you to listen to it, because it's for a reason, it wants to happen. It wants to happen through you specifically. Like if you're getting it, and to not be as big a brat as I was for so long. I mean, I think actually the timing of it was perfect. I mean, obviously for my business, the hardest part has been for me is the technological stuff and being alone. So my family's in Louisville. I have a ton of friends here, but being by myself with all of this, you just have to, when I feel overwhelmed, the best thing I can do for myself is what tiny baby step can I take? Like if I have to write 10 emails, and maybe I'm having a really bad, like if I go into one of these deep depressions, I don't know how long they're going to last, but I still have to work, right? Mm-hmm. So it's like, what little baby step thing can I do? Just one thing, what's the most important thing? And then I'll just do that one little thing. And then just do the one little next thing and the one little next thing. And then asking for help when you need, God. I have trouble knowing when I need help because I'm so used to doing things alone. I've just always kind of been alone. Like I'm the oldest of 3, and I just kind of, I'm a little bit like that. And so.
Well, we were talking about this before we got started. All 3 of us are Gen Xers, and you do it.
We raised ourselves. Yeah. I mean, my parents never knew where I was. I literally was, I was out. I was never
And
home.
I was the youngest of 6. So by the time I came along, my parents were exhausted. I could do whatever I wanted.
They didn't care what you did. That's 6. Wow. And all sisters.
Yes.
Oh, God love you. That made you a better man. Did it not? Yeah.
Because it was beaten into me at a very early age.
And you know how we work. And right?
Yeah.
So as far as, I don't know if that's something that I know now that I didn't know then, but it's such a process,
I think it's encouraging all the issues that, you've been very open about, your depression and all these things. That even with all of that, you took this on and you're running a business.
Seriously, like 6 years ago, next month, I was in a rehab facility for my breakdown 6 years ago. Goodness. And I thought that was the rest of my life. I thought I was always going to be like that. They put me on all kinds of medications. I'm now all the way down off everything but Prozac. And I did that myself, which is amazing.
That's awesome.
So when you think like this is my forever, it's never your forever, ever, ever, ever your forever. And to give people a place for respite and connection. So that's also, I want this place to be a place for respite and connection for the community. And for people to just be able to be themselves and, in a calm, maybe funny place.
So you know what it's like.
Humor heals.
It does. It's why I'm still on this planet, humor and beauty.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and you know what it's like to go through and needing those types of things for healing. So you've been down that path.
I've gone down literally every path you can go down. Yeah. I've been down it and lived to tell the tale. And I'm only 51, so not too bad. This is my gigantic baby I just gave birth to, basically, is what Mantis is. I gave birth to a big old bug.
I thought it was going to be something like, with the, was it the praying mantis that the female kills the male?
Yeah.
And I thought it was something
No.
like that.
And I was a little anxious
what were
coming
you all
into
thinking?
this
Yeah.
because I was a little concerned.
You were a little worried.
But,
I knew. I'm like, they're going to ask me that question. And I'm sorry to let you down that it wasn't. It's like it picked me. I don't know how else to say it. I'm just like, oh God, really? That's the name? And it's like, yep, that's the name. I'm like, okay.
Well, now, so I live in Louisville, and
I didn't know you lived
yeah,
there.
yeah.
Okay.
So I drive to Frankfort every day. I'm on the east side. I just jump on 64. I'm here in 40 minutes.
I know, right? That's where I grew up.
Yeah. What part?
Now Springdale Road. It was out there when nothing was out there back then. Springdale Road is where KCD is and all of that. Anyway.
Oh, okay.
Do you know where I mean?
Yeah.
I went to Ballard High School.
Okay.
All the things.
Yep. Well, I grew on the other side of town in Pleasure Ridge. So.
Oh, yeah, PRP.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I went to Holy Cross.
Yes.
I was in the second graduating class of Holy Cross. That's how far back I go, yeah.
And they survived, so.
Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, so they have several of these places that you can go to paint. And, it's like the Pinot's Palette and the, where people come and they have their wine and they all paint the same picture and all that.
Yes.
So I started doing that last fall and love it.
Yes.
Absolutely love it. And so I've bought a whole bunch of supplies, and my dad has turned my back porch into a sunroom, which I call it my paint studio, my conservatory. So I've started getting into that, doing these paintings. So is there any place like that other than you that has that in Frankfort?
There probably are, but I'm not really sure about. I don't know. It's a good question. And those classes are important, I think, for community building. Mm-hmm. And there's a woman who's teaching right now, and she's the only one teaching in the back of my space currently. And she's teaching once a month, and she's getting ready to do a batik class, which is a type of wax resist on fabric class. So I bet there are, but maybe I don't know about them. I'm going to start having some adult and children's classes actually that I hope to meet once a week, that we get together once a week and develop in clay and in maybe watercolor.
See, I think that's great because they just do the
where you paint, you just have a canvas and then you're empowered after that. And I love when people are empowered, right? Mm-hmm. Do you do that, Leo, too? Do you go?
I have other art that I do.
You don't do sip and paint?
No.
Okay. we might have to get something that you would enjoy. Okay, over at Mantis.
The clay kind of interests me. I've never done it before, but it just it sounds.
I've seen on Facebook the sculpture that you had. Beautiful.
Oh yeah,
really neat.
So because I was at Broadway Clay for 5 years, I guess, and I taught some of their adult classes and their kids classes, and I was a member there, and I fell in love. When you work with your hands, there's just something you can't get from anything else when you work with your hands. Yeah, and it's dirt. That's because we live in these. This is basically dirt we live in. So.
I love the idea of the meditation and then having the art afterwards. Yeah. I'm going to have to come do that in one of your classes.
That's percolating.
I would love to do that.
I think what's hard for me is compartmentalizing. So I'm mainly the only person up front right now running the infrared sauna pods. And it's hard for me to think about the classes in the back and plan them because I'm so here. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm, right.
And I need to be able to afford to pay people up here so I can be doing what I'm really on this planet to do.
What you opened this thing to do, right? You didn't open it to be.
Well, I'm a facilitator. I think if you were to put one word on me, as I like to facilitate your healing journey, not my idea of your healing journey. Does that make sense? I know a lot of different things.
That right there is a tagline.
Yeah, that's what I like to do.
I love that.
Because you have your own. I know a lot of different things, but your body is your body, and your way is your. And it's important to not. I don't know. I always tell people if what I say doesn't resonate, just toss it in the trash. I mean, who am I anyway? Right?
Mantis Creative Wellness, 214 West Main Street in Frankfort. You
It's right
are
behind the dumpster, guys.
mantiscreativewellness.com.
Till later notice.
Mantis Creative Wellness on Facebook and Instagram. We will have links in the show notes
Thank
so
you.
folks
What are
can
your
contact
hours?
you.
So currently, and I'm rolling around in the summer if I should change these, but currently, right now, I'm open Wednesday through Friday, 10 to 6. And then Saturday and Sunday, I'm open 11 to 5. And I'm rolling around. Do I do super early morning hours and evening hours and be closed in the day for the saunas? If that makes more sense, so people come before it gets really hot and when it cools
So if you
off.
have an opinion out there,
Yeah,
let
let
Carrie
me know.
know so she
Send
can.
me I have a contact form on my website.
Just don't send her anything about a copyright infringement.
Yeah,
because
no.
she's not
No.
gonna. She's just gonna
Ignore
delete
it.
it.
Don't,
midway.
yeah. I'm a savvy gal in that way. I know if you're messing with me.
Carrie, thank you very much
It's been a pleasure.
And we have now survived 5 shows.
Yeah, congratulations. I
thank
feel like you all need to have a little party. I want to say 5 that's congratulations, guys.
That's a whole handwork.
Yeah.
Thank you for listening. And until next time, I'm Leo Haggerty from TCHQ Communications.
I'm Sheri Donahue from Commonwealth Sentinel Cybersecurity.
Thank you very much.
Bye.